Hey now, it's Sharon, and I'm back to share another idea on how to better the police, reform the police, restructure the police here in the United States. And I am coming from the perspective of the individual officer, the career officer, or whoever's thinking about getting into policing. This can apply to other jobs also, but I'm using policing because I was in policing. And with that being said, if you're new to the channel, I'm a retired detective. I worked for 20 years for a southeastern city in the US. I was also in the military. I share my ideas, experiences, perspectives, and my opinion on how we can better the police based on my knowledge and what I went through and the people I've talked to throughout the years. And I am sharing my book, which is out now, right here. It's available on lulu.com in the bookstore under the Religion and Spirituality tab. Here is the title, My Middle Eastern Conflict, Looking Back at My Future, stick figure. And some people get triggered by the Middle Eastern part, but that is not my motive in having this as a title. The motive is, while I was policing, whistleblowing, and the ostracism and the retaliation I went through literally led me to this title. So I hope you take a look at the book and open the book, because I've already faced some criticism with people who haven't even read the book. They just see the title and assume things. And like I said, I have something on page 146 for them. But I wanted to share, I call it parts of this book. And it's called My Middle Eastern Conflict, The King and I. Let me get my glasses real quick. Okay. Although the 1956 movie version with Yul Brynner was good, I'm talking about the restaurant in the city I policed. My favorite dish is garlic shrimp. Back in 2002, I was introduced to this restaurant by a veteran officer on the very first specialized team that I belonged to. A few years later, eating alone at this restaurant, I started to heal my heart. I remember sitting and looking over at the table where there were 3 white males. This offense started to rise up in me. They didn't say a word. They didn't look at me. They didn't say anything to me, but I could feel this offense rising up in me. And the Holy Spirit said to me, pray for them. I knew what I heard, but pride and bitterness and a little fear were pushing through. I took a deep breath and whispered, God bless them. Right at that moment, the server brought over my plate and asked where my coworker was, the one who introduced me to the restaurant years earlier. I told them that I no longer worked with that team, but the team was still around. I would go back to the King and I several more times. Each time I would say a short prayer for anyone I saw, particularly white men. The anger and rage was quieting down. Unlike Dr. Banner in the Incredible Hulk, I found the cure. I found that studying the word and praying for others helped me get out of this us versus them mindset. And I share that because last week when I talked about the officer who unalived Sonia Massey and the self-talk, you could hear him say a bunch of GODs, words and F-bombs and things like that. And I admitted to that self-talk before. I used to talk that. I have this us versus them mentality, and why are they doing this, and how could they live this way, and what's going on, and these people. Yeah, I had that self-talk. And I believe the officer that unalived Sonia Massey had the same self-talk. But in that restaurant, the King and I, eating garlic shrimp, my favorite meal, and looking over at these 3 white males that didn't say a word to me, didn't even look my way. And I started to feel this rage coming up. I know where it comes from now, it's in the book, but we need to address issues like that, you know? I think when I see white males sometimes, when I used to see white males, a rage would come across me and just gather like right here. And I'm sure it showed on my face if they said anything to me or even if they said hi. I'm sure I wasn't the friendliest, but there was a rage that gathered in me, and I had to figure out where that came from. I had to figure it out, and that's the self-inspection that I had to do, which was it was confusing to me because I'm going through ostracism. I'm going through the retaliation from my coworkers. And now the Holy Spirit's telling me I got to deal with my heart for what? Do you see what they're doing? But this is the conversation I was having with the Holy Spirit. But he's like, no, I need for you to check inside. I need for you to do that inspection. I'll show you where to go. I'll show you what to look for. And that day at the table, and this rage that started to rise up in me, looking at these three white guys who said nothing, did nothing to me. He was like, that right there. He's like, that right there, what is that? And I'm like, I had to figure it out. And I tell the rest of the story in this book, how I figured it out. And hopefully that'll help others in figuring out some things and where some of the anger, some of the confusion, some of the rage comes from. All right? The book is $15. Again, it's on lulu.com. It's in the bookstore under the Religion and Spirituality tab. Take a look. It's 163 pages. And that's it for this week. I just want to share that little bit. The introspection, going inside and figuring out, why do I have this anger, this rage? Because I believe the officer that unalived Sonia Massey had a lot of anger and rage in him that he needed to figure out before he put on that gun and badge. All right, well, as is our tradition, you don't necessarily have to go through a thing to learn from it. Take a look at our online store. The link is in the description. And I'll see you next week. Bye.